Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. If you were looking to unpack some really complex ideas and just get straight to the core of fascinating philosophies, well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're taking a structured, objective look at a highly unique, spiritually driven philosophy of success. We're going to explore a framework that literally completely redefines what it means to grow, both for us as individuals and for entire organizations.
All right, let's just dive right into it. The source material we're analyzing today is Ryuho Okawa's book, Progress Thinking. Now, this book covers a ton of ground, but for this explainer, we're going to laser focus specifically on Chapter 2, which is titled The Path to Progress. In this section, the text totally strips away our usual, materialistic assumptions about success. It lays out a completely different paradigm for growth. It is a really fascinating look at how shifting our internal, spiritual perspective can radically alter our external reality.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit 4 main points. 1. The definition of true progress. 2. Amplifying joy. 3. Hope driving progress. And 4. Practices to realize hope. Let's get to it.
Starting off with Section 1, the definition of true progress. Now, before we can figure out how to achieve progress, we obviously have to understand what it actually means in this context. And this framework immediately challenges our modern baseline. Here, true progress is defined as the soul growing straight toward the infinite and eternal divine. It is explicitly not about self-centered ambition or, just pushing forward through the sheer force of your own ego. Instead, the author posits that true progress is an upward trajectory. It's an alignment. You aren't just moving forward on a flat plane, trying to beat the competition. You're meant to be growing upward, essentially fulfilling a higher spiritual duty. To help us picture this, the text uses a really vivid natural metaphor. It says it's like a grove of cedar trees stretching straight up to touch the sky. Just picture that for a second. A cedar tree doesn't grow sideways to conquer the forest floor, right? Its natural intended path is straight up. The author argues that human souls are designed the exact same way. If our growth isn't directed upward toward this pure, infinite ideal, then, according to this philosophy, it simply isn't true progress. That brings us to Section 2, amplifying joy. So what does all this internal, vertical growth actually look like externally? Well, the text gives us a direct contrast here. Conventional progress usually focuses on mere numerical growth, right? Higher profits, scaling up the number of buildings you own, increasing your employee headcount. But under this framework, true progress is measured entirely by amplifying the shared joy of the people involved. Think about it. If a company doubles its profits, but the people working there and the people they serve aren't experiencing an expansion of joy, then under this philosophy, that numerical growth is essentially empty. True development absolutely must carry a corresponding surge in shared happiness. So how do you actually create that joy? The author gives us a really great analogy here. The text essentially says, don't just watch the game, be the protagonist of your own joy. It explains that, sure, it might be fun to sit back and watch other people dance or watch people play a game of baseball, but the ultimate highest form of joy comes from stepping onto the field and playing the game yourself. To truly amplify joy in the world, you can't just be a passive bystander. You gotta take the lead. You have to become the main character, the protagonist, in generating that happiness within your own sphere of influence. Moving right along to Section 3, Hope Driving Progress. Now, taking action and being the protagonist requires a lot of energy. So where does that essential fuel come from? The text outlines a strict law of cause and effect, connecting our current actions to our future potential. The author compares the present to a living tree, and the future to the fruit that tree eventually bears. Just as a good tree naturally produces good fruit, our present orientation directly creates our future reality. This means our vision for the future, our grand hope, isn't just wishful thinking. In this framework, hope is the literal blueprint for the fruit that's going to grow. It's this active, driving force that pulls the present forward. To really hammer home how this hope needs to be maintained, the text offers another striking metaphor. Imagine a room, or maybe a Christmas tree, covered in lights. Progress isn't just about adding a few new lights today while letting the old ones slowly burn out and fade to black. That just creates a sense of loneliness and sadness, right? True progress is continuous illumination. It's about keeping the hope burning bright this year, adding to it next year, and maintaining that brilliant glow decades into the future. It's a continuous, compounding brightness that inspires literally everyone around you. All right, let's wrap up with Section 4, Practices to Realize Hope.
So how do we actually execute this? The author outlines a very specific mental protocol here, so let's walk through it. Step 1. You must set your mind and fix your heart on a specific, pure ideal. You have to know exactly what you're aiming for. Step 2. Intensely concentrate your thoughts. The text really stresses that simply having a vague wish just isn't enough. It requires absolute pointed concentration to manifest that great hope into reality. And crucially, step 3. You must discard evil or selfish attachments. Remember, this goes all the way back to our very first definition. If the goal is purely selfish or ego-driven, it just isn't true progress, and the spiritual foundation basically crumbles. Your concentrated thought has to be aligned with a higher, selfless good.
But there's a major trap waiting at the finish line. The text explicitly warns us, beware of arrogance and conceit when your hope is finally realized. It is incredibly easy, once you achieve success through all this hard work and concentration, to just let your ego inflate. The author advises that when success comes, you must receive it with a deeply refreshed, humble, and thankful mind. Because if you allow arrogance to take root, you sever that vertical connection to the divine, and your progress abruptly stops. Humility isn't just a nice character trait here. It's an absolute mechanical requirement to keep the progress going. So we've unpacked a model of success that ignores traditional metrics and instead focuses on upward spiritual growth, amplifying shared joy, continuous hope, and rigorous mental discipline. But, theory only matters if it changes how we actually act. So I want to leave you with this final thought. How can you become the protagonist of amplifying joy in your own sphere today? Rather than just watching the game, what specific action can you take right now to step onto the field and increase the shared joy of the people around you? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this fresh perspective on progress stays with you as you tackle your own goals.